Let's practice a standard algorithm for multiplying and dividing decimals together. For number 1, we have 0.5 or half times 8, so half of 8. We remember that we don't need that 0 in front if we don't want to write it, so we can rewrite this as 0.5. We're going to multiply this by 8. Okay. Now, this is just a multiplication fact of 5 times 8. 5 times 8 is going to be 40, so go ahead and put the 0 and the 4. Now just check for how many decimal places. So this one has 1 decimal place and 8 has none. So 1 plus 0, there should be 1 decimal place in our answer. So our answer should be 4.0, but we don't really need to write this 0 at the end. So we can just write our answer is going to be 4, which hopefully makes sense because half of 8 is equal to 4. Okay, let's check out number 2. For number 2, we have 6 times 4/10 or 0.4. We don't need the 0 in front. So this is really just going to be 6 multiplied by 0.4 or 4/10. And again, this is just a multiplication fact. 6 times 4 is going to be 24. So put the 4 and then the 2. All right, and then just check decimal places. So 6 doesn't have any, but the 0.4 has 1 decimal place. So our product here needs to have 1 decimal place as well. So this is going to be 2.4 or 2 and 4/10. Okay. For number 3, we have this 4 and 3/10 times 7. So we have this 43 on top. Remember, we can just ignore the decimal for now, and then we can bring it back in just a little bit. Let's put that decimal in right like there, and then we can go ahead and just use this 7. So 7 times 3, I'll go ahead and take the 7 here, multiply 7 times 3 is going to be 21 and carry the 2. Then 7 times 4 is 28, and 28 plus 2 is going to be 30. So we have 3, 0, 1 down here, okay? Don't forget about decimal places. We have 1 decimal place here, and the 7 doesn't have any. So we're going to have 1 decimal place for our product here. So our final product is going to be 30 and 1/10, or 30.1. For number 4, we have 8 times 9 and 4/10. Let's go ahead and write the 9 and 4/10 on top, write 94, and then we'll put the 8 on bottom. Put the decimal right between the 9 and the 4. And we're going to go ahead and multiply. All right, this 8 times 4 is going to go first, so 8 multiplied by 4 is going to be 32, and we're going to carry the 3. And then 8 times 9 is going to be 72, plus the 3 is going to be 75. All right, check decimal places now. So we have 1 decimal place here. So we are going to go ahead and put 1 decimal place in our product. So our final product here is going to be 75 and 2/10. Let's check out number 5. For number 5, we have 38 and 2/10 multiplied by 7. So 38 and then a 2, and then we're going to put the 7 on bottom here. It has less digits. And we're going to go ahead and basically multiply this, but remember we have a decimal that we will have to take care of in just a moment. And so let's start just by multiplying 7 by each of these numbers. 7 times 2 is going to be 14, carry the 1. 7 times 8 is 56, plus 1 is 57, carry the 5. 7 times 3 is going to be 21, plus the 5 is going to be 26. Okay, so before we say we're done, just check your decimal places. So this one has 1 decimal place, so we should have 1 decimal place in our product as well. So at the end, we have 267 and 4/10 as our product. Alrighty, for number 6, we have 9 times 3 and 29 hundredths. So let's go ahead and put the 3, 2, 9 on top. And let's put the 9 on bottom. We're going to basically multiply, and when we get rid of the decimal, we're basically just saying we are multiplying it by 100, so we got to divide by 100 later on, but we can also put it in and just pretend it's not there for a moment. And then this 9 times 9 is going to be 81, carry the 8. 9 times 2 is 18, 18 plus 8 is going to be 26, carry the 2. And then 9 times 3 is 27, 27 plus 2 is going to be 29. All right, so let's check decimal places. There's 2 in this first factor and there's none for the 9. So we should have 2 for our final product. So in the end, we're going to have 29 and 61 hundredths. For number 7, we have 43 and 8/10 multiplied by 5 and 3/10. So again, let's go ahead and just rewrite this, but let's leave the decimals out for a moment. Line up the 4, 3, 8 and the 5 and the 3, okay? Just like this. That's important that those are lined up. And then you can put in the decimals between the 3 and the 8, and then between the 5 and the 3. The decimals happen to be lined up here, but again, that's just coincidence. We're not intentionally trying to line up the decimals. So let's multiply 3 times 8, that's going to be 24, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 plus 2 is going to be 11, carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, 12 plus 1 is going to be 13. So we're going to have 1, 3, 1, 4. We're now done with this 3, done with this 2, done with this 1. We can go ahead and put a placeholder here, okay, and move on to using this 5. So 5 is going to now multiply by 8. 5 times 8 is 40, carry the 4. Now 5 times 3 is going to be 15. 15 plus 4 is going to be 19, carry the 1. 5 times 4 is going to be 20, plus 1 is going to be 21. Okay, cool. So at this point, we have our two partial products. We're going to go ahead and add them together. So 4 is going to stay as 4. This 1 is going to come down. 3 plus 9 is going to be 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And then we have a 2 in front here. All right, now let's check decimal places. So this has 1 decimal place. This has 1 more decimal place, so that's a total of 2. So in our product, we must go around 2 numbers. And so we ignored a tenth and a tenth, so we need a hundredth in the answer here. So our final product is going to be 232 and 14 hundredths. For number 8, let's check out this one where we have 20 and 9 tenths multiplied by 7 and 45 hundredths. Now both of these have 3 digits, so it doesn't matter which one goes on top. I'm just going to go ahead and write 209 on top and write 745 on bottom. Now I'm going to put the decimal between the 0 and 9 and between the 7 and 4. And now we have everything lined up. Let's try to be as neat as possible. I'm going to start with this 5. 5 times this 9 is going to be 45. I'm going to carry the 4. 5 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 4 is 4. 5 times 2 is going to be 10. So we have a first line of 1045. This 5 is no longer needed, and this 4 is no longer needed. We need a placeholder here for the second line, and we're off to using this 4 now. Okay, so going from here, 4 times 9 is going to be 36, so we'll put the 6, carry the 3. 4 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 3 is 3. Then 4 times 2 is going to equal 8. Okay, so we're done with this 4, done with this 3, and now we're going to need 2 placeholders, so 1 and 2. And now it's the 7's turn. So the 7's going to take a crack at multiplying by each of these numbers. So 7 times 9 is going to be 63. We'll carry the 6. And then 7 times 0 is going to be 0, plus 6 is 6. And then 7 times 2 is going to be 14. So we'll put a 1 and a 4. So we have 3 lines of partial products here. And we're going to go ahead and add them up. 5 is going to come on down. 4 plus 6 is 10. We'll go ahead and put the 0, carry the 1. 1 plus 0 plus 3 should be 7. Then 1 plus 8 is 9, 9 plus 6 is going to be 15, carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 5, and we have a 1 over here. Let's go ahead and check our decimal places before we finish. So we have 1 decimal place, and then we have 2 decimal places, so that means we must have 3 in our product. So 1, 2, 3, and we're going to have 155 and 705 thousandths. So 155 and 705 thousandths. All right, let's try some division problems now. Starting on number 9, let's go ahead and try these long division problems. So for number 9, we have 4.8 or 4 8/10 divided by 6. So setting up this long division, we can go ahead and put the 4.8. That's going to be the dividend, and we're going to go ahead and put the 6 outside as the divisor. Now keep in mind that this 6 on the outside has to be a whole number, so that one's good to go. If that's the case, you can just bring this decimal straight up into the quotient or our answer. So I'll go ahead and just put that decimal right up here. And 6 is not going to fit into 4, so I'm going to put a 0. It goes in 0 times. 0 times 6 is going to be 0. And if we go ahead and subtract, 4 minus 0 is still going to be 4. After that, we can go ahead and bring down this 8. So the 8 is going to join the 4 to make 48. Now 6 into 48, I think that's going to be 8. 8 times 6 is exactly 48. And we can see here that the remainder is going to be 0. So the quotient we just found out is going to be 0.8 or 8/10. For number 10, we have 3 and 6/10 divided by 9. So let's go ahead and set this one up. Let's take this 3 and 6/10 as the dividend and put that inside, put the 9 as a divisor on the outside. Remember the divisor, the 9 has to be a whole number, which it is, so we can just leave this decimal alone. Just bring it straight up into the quotient. And now see how many times 9 fits into 3. Now 9 won't fit into 3 a whole number of times, fits in 0 times. So 0 times 9 is 0, and then we're going to subtract. 3 minus 0 is going to be 3. Then we're going to go ahead and bring down this 6. So the 6 is going to join the 3 to make 36. And now 9 into 36. Well, 9 times 4 is exactly 36. So we can go ahead and put that there. And if we subtract, we notice that it is perfect. So there's no remainder. So our quotient here, or the answer to a division problem, is going to be 4/10. For number 11, we have 25 and 2/10 divided by 7. So 25.2 is going to be the dividend inside the house. 7 is the divisor. It's a whole number, so we don't have to worry about sliding any decimals or moving anything around. Just bring this decimal straight up into the quotient. Now, will 7 fit into 2? No, 7's not going to fit into 2, fits in 0 times. Will 7 fit into 25? Well, 7 times 3 is going to be 21, so it's going to be 21 as close as we can get. And if we subtract, we can see we were off by 4, right? 25 minus 21 is going to be 4. Then we can go ahead and bring down this 2, which can join the 4 to make 42, and repeat the whole process. 7 times 6 is going to be exactly 42. And if we go ahead and subtract 42 minus 42, we get 0. So finally, we have an answer of 3.6. That'll be the quotient here. For number 12, let's go ahead and take this 30.8 or 30 and 8/10. That's the dividend, and put the 4 on the outside. That's our divisor. 4 is a whole number, so we can leave it alone. These are not too bad, I hope. And bring this decimal straight up here. Now will 4 fit into 3? I think it's going to fit in 0 times. It's too big. It's a larger value. Now 4 into 30. I'm going to go with 7 here, because 7 times 4 is going to be 28. And we are off by 2. Perfectly okay. As long as it's not more than 4, we are good to go. Now we can bring down the 8 as backup. Now it's going to be 28 and repeat the process. Now 4 times 7 is exactly 28. So we're going to put a 28 underneath here because that's how close we got, and it's exactly on the dot. So we have a remainder of 0. So our quotient here is going to be 7 and 7/10, or 7.7. Here's number 13. For number 13, we have 12 and 56/100 divided by 8/10. So going ahead and setting this up, we're going to have this 12 and 56/100 on the inside. That's going to be the dividend. And then we have this 8/10 along the outside as the divisor. I'm just getting rid of the 0 because it's not necessary. Now keep in mind the divisor, what we're going to do is we want it to be a whole number. So previously all of them have been whole numbers, but this one is a decimal. If we go ahead and multiply this by 10, then 0.8 times 10 just becomes 8. So if we go ahead and do that on the outside for the divisor, we must do the same thing for the dividend. If we do this, we actually come up with the same problem, just with a nicer number on the outside. So we are going to end up with 125.6 divided by 8. All right, so it turns out the answer to this problem will be the answer to the original problem. All right, you don't have to slide anything back afterwards. So now that the 8 on the outside is not a decimal, it's a whole number, we can just bring this decimal up and just perform long division. Okay. Now, will 8 fit into 1? Nope, fits in 0 times. Will 8 fit into 12? It's going to fit in 1 time. 1 times 8 is going to be 8. 12 minus 8 is going to equal 4. We can go ahead and bring down this 5. Okay, so now it's going to be 45. Now 8 goes into 45 how many times? I think 8 times 5, that's going to be 40. So that gets us as close as possible. And the remainder here is going to be 5. Finally, we're going to bring down this 6, and the 6 is going to join the 5 to make 56. And now 8 into 56. 8 times 7 is going to be exactly 56. And then we're going to get a remainder here of 0. All right, so our quotient here is going to be 15 and 7/10. Again, we don't need to write that 0 in the beginning because it's not necessary. So that is going to be our final quotient. All right, for number 14, we have 42 and 96/100 divided by 1.2. Now, instead of setting it up twice, basically what I'm going to do here is say, well, we know this 1.2 is going to be the divisor, the outside number, so we have to multiply this by 10. So I'm just going to do it right here. We're going to multiply this one by 10 as well. So again, if you do the same thing to both of these, then the problem we set up will be the same. Okay, so just a little bit less work, and we can go ahead and have a whole number divisor. So dividing something into 12 parts is going to be much easier than dividing something into 1.2 parts, right? So we're going to have this 42, but we're moving it over, so they're going to have a 9 and then 0.6, okay? And so when we go ahead and set this up, the decimal in our quotient, or the answer, is going to be between the 9 and the 6 here. Okay, so now we have a whole number on the outside, and we're basically splitting this 429.6 into 12 parts, and that answer will be what we're looking for. So will 12 fit into 4? Nope, it's bigger than it, so it cannot. Will 12 fit into 42? Well, on the side here, I'm going to remind you that 12 times, let's see here, 12 times 3 is going to be 36. So 12 times 3, that's going to be a 6 and then a 3. And if you do 12 times 4, I'm just going to write it out so you can see. 12 times 4, 2 times 4 is 8, and then 4 times 1 is 4. That's 48, so it's too much. So we're going to go with 3 here. 3 times 12 is going to be 36. And then if we subtract here 42 minus 36, that I believe is going to be 6. Then we can go ahead and drop this 9, and we're going to see how many times 12 is going to fit into 69. And so we have 12, let's see, it's going to be more than 4. Let's go with 5. 12 times 5, that's going to be 10. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is 6, so it's 60. And then I think 12 times 6 is too much. I'm just going to write it out so you can see, but you should maybe write out some multiplication if you don't know these times tables. So I'm just trying to be extra clear. 72 is too much, so we're going to go with 5. So 5 times 12 is going to be 60. And if we subtract here, our remainder is going to be 9. Finally, we're going to bring down this 6 to join, so this is going to be 96. And we have to see how many times 12 is going to fit into 96. Okay, so we know it's going to be more than 6. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 8. I'm going to skip over and try 8. So 12 times 8. That's going to be 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 1 is 9, so that's 96. That's exactly what we're looking for. So let's put an 8 here. 8 times 12 is 96. And the remainder here is 0. So our quotient is going to be, let's get rid of the 0 because we don't need it. But our quotient here is going to be 35 and 8/10. Here's number 15. For number 15, we have 15 and 6/10 divided by 24 hundredths. So what we're going to do here is we need this 24 hundredths to be a whole number. So I want to split it into 24 parts. So to do that, we have to move it over twice, or essentially multiply it by 100. So if we do that to the divisor, we have to do that to the dividend as well. So we're going to multiply these both by 100. Okay. Now, if you multiply 24 hundredths by 100, well, we're going to end up with 24 on the outside for the divisor. And on the inside, when we multiply 15.6 by 100, we move it over 2 times. So we're actually going to have to add a 0 here to show the second number we moved around. So we have 1,560 divided by 24. And the answer to this problem will be the answer we're looking for. All right. 24 is not going to fit into 1, goes in 0 times. 24 also can't fit into 15, so it goes in 0 times. But 24 fits into 156. So we have to do some testing out here. So 24, maybe we can start with 5, 24 times 5. So 5 times 4 is going to be 20, carry the 2. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So that's 120. I think we might be able to go closer here. So 24 times 6. 24 times 6. 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 2 is going to be 14, 144. That's pretty close to 156. I don't think we can go closer. So we'll put a 6 here. 6 times 24 is going to be 144. And if we subtract 156 minus 144, I think that's going to be 12 rather, right? Now let's go ahead and bring down this 0 and join the 12 to make 120. I think we already found out that 24 times 5 was equal to 120. So let's go ahead and put a 5. 5 times 24 is exactly 120. So that's a good one we tried earlier, even though it didn't work for the other part. And we get a remainder of 0. So our quotient here is 65. It's not even a decimal. All right, one final problem, number 16. We need our divisor of 5.3 here to be a whole number, so we can make it a whole number, make it 53 if we just multiply it by 10. And if we do that to the divisor, we must do it to the dividend as well. So multiply these both by 10. So setting up this problem, let's go ahead and write the 53 as the divisor on the outside. So we're splitting this 3201.2 into 53 parts. And we're going to go ahead and just move this decimal straight up into our quotient. And we need to think of our multiples of 53. So will 53 fit into 3? Nope, too big. 53 can't fit into 32 a whole number of times, but 53 will fit into this 320, okay? So I'm thinking, 53 times what is gonna get you around 300? Let's go with 6, just because 5 times 6 is 30. So 3 times 6 is 18, carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30, plus 1 is 318 here. That's really close to 320. It's only off by 2. So I think that's what we're going to go with. I'm going to put a 6. 6 times 53 is going to be 318. And so we were off by 2. So we were super close. 2. And then we're going to go ahead and bring down this 1. And we're going to repeat the process here. Kind of interesting. 53 won't fit into 21. So be careful. Make sure you add a 0 here. It fits in 0 times. 0 times 53 is 0. And when you take 21 minus 0, I know it seems kind of silly. That's just still 21. Then we're going to bring down this 2 and repeat the process, I hopefully think, one more time. So we have 212 here, which is smaller than the 318 we got earlier. So we have to choose a smaller number than 6. Maybe we can try 5 or 4. Maybe I'll choose 4. 53 times 4. Because 50 times 4 is about 200, right? So 3 times 4 is 12, carry the 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. So that's going to be 212. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so we can put a 4 here. 4 times 53 is going to be 212. And we can go ahead and subtract. Have a remainder of 0. So our quotient here, again, we can get rid of these zeros in the beginning. And our final quotient is going to be 60 4/10, or 60.4. So there you have 16 different practice problems. 8 of them were on multiplying using the standard algorithm with decimals, and 8 of them were dividing using the standard algorithm with decimals. If you found this video helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and as always, keep up the great work, and I'll see you in the next one.